This morning's program for the September 12th, 2019, it's action-packed, it's musically inclined. Let's get right to it. On the panel this morning, it's former provincial Liberal Cabinet Minister David Heurtel. Hi, David.
Good morning, Elias.
And someone else who's very musically inclined. David, are you musically inclined, by the way?
Kinda.
You are?
Yeah.
So this is great. And Trudie, you're musically inclined.
Well, I like listening to it. I couldn't carry a tune if it had a handle, but I love to listen to it.
Listen, this is the panel for you guys. I think this is the panel for a lot of people listening, because we're going to start off with some music. A musical interlude, shall I say. And it has to do with Andrew Scheer's campaign song. Have you guys heard it yet? Have you heard it?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, so let's take a listen now. This is Andrew Scheer's campaign song.
Baby shark do-do-do-do-do, baby shark do-do-do-do-do, baby shark do-do-do-do-do, baby shark. Mommy shark.
Oh, no. That's the wrong song. That's the wrong song. I'm sorry. How did that happen? It is not. That's not the campaign song. Do we have the real campaign song? Jay's got it. Okay, Jay's got it. Okay, here it is. This is the actual campaign song for Andrew Scheer. There you go. So that's the campaign song, and the writer behind it is also the guy that co-wrote Summer '69 for Bryan Adams and a whole lot of other hits. Quick question, panel. Great song or the greatest song of all time?
You know what? I think it's a very practical song. Personally, it makes me excited, Elias, because apparently it's my time to get ahead.
Yes.
So who wouldn't be excited by that?
I didn't know.
But I think it's very practical because you know that in particular, conservative politicians have had trouble finding kind of theme songs for their campaigns because they glom onto one and then, some pesky, B-list talent like, Bruce Springsteen says, wait a minute.
Did you just call Bruce Springsteen a pesky B-list talent? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know me. I'm the boss's biggest fan.
But you're right.
But I think that's the problem is they try to get these inspirational songs, so that when they walk out on stage at these campaign appearances, they've got this thing going in the background. And then the people who actually own the song and perform the song, who originated the song, complain about it. So I think that this is actually a very practical way to get around that, to try and have something inspirational where they're not going to get complaints from the writers about co-opting it.
It's nice to have campaign budgets, which we don't have.
Conservatives are swimming
side.
In it, right?
It's nice to have money,
Yeah.
and so it's great because with this kickoff, what are we talking about this morning? This is your first topic, Elias. So this obviously is a great move for the Conservatives, and also it helps. Andrew Scheer has a bit of a geek factor problem, and that helps him. I mean, this helps. Having Bryan Adams, songwriter, the guy who wrote like most of Bryan Adams' hits, and having this spin makes helps Andrew Scheer, helps the Conservative have a more human, artsy, more connected to real people type deal going, and especially that's been one of the major problems of Andrew Scheer versus Justin Trudeau.
I'm going to say this song for me has a target market, and it's Ontario. Okay, like that song, the lyrics.
905.
Have you guys ever been? This is a serious question. Have you ever been to a Blue Jays game in Toronto?
Yes.
Okay. Now in the seventh inning, just before they play the seventh inning stretch, they play this. In the worst song of all time, it's like this. It's called "Okay Blue Jays," and it's like the lyrics are like "Okay, Blue Jays, let's play ball." It's like you've got a bat and a ball, and that's not. It's the worst lyrics of all time. And you sit there and you're like seeing 50,000 Ontario people that are all singing this song like they've been trained to love, and that's what I thought of when I heard these lyrics to this. A brand new day, you're gonna. I was like, this is the Blue Jays song.
Is that a fly ball?
There you go.
Or is it a seagull coming in from the lake just to catch the game? It's the last inning.
I don't get it. I go to these. I go to Jays games, and I don't understand how 50,000 people can sing this song in unison.
Well,
I think that's your target.
And they're
market.
going to lose 100 games this year.
But cheesy is fun. I think in a baseball setting, cheesy is fun.
Yeah.
I think you talk about the target market being Ontario. That may well be actually. I also think it's maybe 45 plus because I don't think young people are going to be impressed by any campaign theme song that isn't written by Drake or Anakin Slade.
Uh-huh.
I think it.
Oh yeah.
It's just not hip enough for younger voters. But I think the Tories know that they're not going to get a lot of traction among younger voters.
And Trudie's just dropping names and proving her street cred on this show. I love it. Okay, enough about the song, but I will say this. On the text line, somebody says, I like the first one. So they like Baby Shark better than the Andrew Scheer song. And
Isn't that Elizabeth May's song?
No, I think Jagmeet Singh is the one who needs to sort of kick things in gear. He should choose a song with 3.4.
He needs Drake badly.
Yeah, he needs Drake. That's very true. And one person on our text line saying it's too American. It's too American. It sounds American. And that's why to me it sounds
Bryan
too,
Adams
sounds too Ontario is what I'm going to say. Okay, day one of the election, and who's taking a stance? Well, it's François Legault saying on day one, "Hey, you federal leaders, you stay out of Bill 21, and you promise to always stay out of Bill 21." This is a nationalist dream, right? To have this? Yeah.
Totally. And this actually, believe it or not, I think this helps Justin Trudeau in Quebec. Because by taking this nationalist stand, as Legault did so strongly yesterday, he's actually helping the Bloc Québécois. And if he's helping the Bloc Québécois, that means that's going to drain votes from the Conservatives in Quebec. And for the Conservatives to even think to get to 170 seats and form a majority government, they're going to have to increase their seat number in Quebec. They have 11 right now. They need much more. And the swing ridings are between Montreal and Quebec City. This is where the battle's going to be in Quebec. Aside from Ontario, the Greater Toronto, the 905 area code in Toronto, and Lower Mainland BC. That's where the election is going to be decided. And so if Legault, who right now is riding at around 45-50% support in the Francophones outside Montreal. Mm-hmm. His support, there are liberals in there, there are federal liberals in there, there are blockistes, péquistes in there, and there are conservatives in there. And so by going full-on nationalist, he's giving a card to Yves-François Blanchet and the Bloc, and that's going to divide the right-wing, rural, regional vote in the Francophone ridings.
The more that François Legault embraces the nationalist side of his party and becomes the public face of the nationalist side of the CAQ, the more I realize that all those naysaying Anglos who pointed at him and the CAQ as not to be trusted because they're closet separatists, the more they were right, that they really weren't scaremongering, which is what maybe I might have accused them of, so long ago. Yeah. That we're seeing, I think, the true colors of this party now, and so he's obviously playing to a certain portion of the Quebec population, and that's to be expected. And I think that the federal leaders can basically disregard them as they choose.
I just wonder if the end goal there is, towards a sort of nationalism, towards, sovereignty and that kind of stuff. But I think it's more about killing the PQ. That's what it does about me. David, quickly?
There it is. One, it's about broadening his base, getting that 10-15% from the PQ. And remember, some of his top ministers, Geneviève Guilbeault, one of them, is a liberal, a former liberal, and she got in hot water for actually attacking PQists, firing former PQ staffers this week. This is a huge scandal in the French media. So I think it's just more about broadening the base than anything else.
Okay, a little bit here on Bill 21's tentacles, because it is impacting people that the law it's not supposed to impact. Talking about student teachers. And we are seeing some student teachers finding they can't get placed for internships. And the schools are saying, listen, if we have to pick between two students, we're going to pick the person we can hire at the end of this stage. I guess I can see that point, right? If you have to make a decision, but now you've got people studying to become teachers, and they're whether at their McGill or any of the other institutions, bishops here in the province, and they can't get placed as a student teacher. Your thoughts?
Well, I think it's disgraceful. What it really irks me is the reaction of the premier to this, because he chastised that particular, I think it was the Pointe de l'Île School Board, right, for taking that position that they're not going to hire student teachers who wear religious symbols because they can't hire them at the end of their internships. He chastised the board by saying, no, we drew the line and you can't cross it. As if all the warning signs he didn't get, that of course people were going to take this, certain people were going to take this and run with this, and there would be knock-on effects, and there would be gray areas like this one. Like the bus driver deliberately passing the woman in the hijab waiting at the bus stop. That wasn't a warning sign to François Legault that people would look at this and see it as license to discriminate. He's being disingenuous in my view. I'm
seeing, while the situation is horrible and disgraceful, as Trudie said, I see some hope here. Because
tell me, where's the hope?
Really, because remember back when the PQ came out with their Charter of Values, the way the Liberals won the 2014 election, one of the reasons why the messaging around this was, the Charter of Values is going to end up with horrible stories of people getting fired. And this has been lacking in the messaging against Bill 21. And now we're seeing human stories. This is really affecting people's lives directly. And you have real cases now that make absolutely no sense. Quebecers were not fully informed of this. When we're saying that there's amazing support for this bill, when François Legault keeps saying there's support for this, people want this. People will not want these kinds of situations. People will react to this. And actually, I'm seeing this. I mean, François Legault's position and his stand, the way he changed stands on English school boards yesterday, is something to look towards, to see there's something happening. There's a crack. I'm not saying it's a big crack. I'm not agreeing with what's going on.
I think that their approval ratings are high, and I think that
they're high, but I think they see that there is a vulnerability here, and at some point it's going to have to stop, because people will not stand for these types of injustices. They just won't. Quebecers didn't want the Charter of Values for that specific reason, and I think when they see that people, ordinary, innocent people, are losing their chances to get ahead, to make a living, to support their families, they're going to say, wait a minute, this is not what we want as a society.
I think if the ban had included doctors and doctors and nurses, I think you would see the sort of stories that come out that get people so upset because they would impact their health care. In this instance, I don't see the public tide turning. I don't see it. I'm not saying it's not possible.
I'm saying the beginning. I agree with you. I'm not saying this is it. I'm not saying the tide will turn tomorrow. But I'm just saying there's some signs that people, because François Legault is very sensitive to public opinion. That's how he's governing. And I am sensing that he's seeing the way the people are reacting to this, and I don't think he thinks this is a good way to go, and he might lose some support if this goes on. There are more and more stories coming out of people not getting work, losing their jobs unjustly.
Another day, another example of Elizabeth May coming up with another story about someone in her party. We talked about Pierre Nantel briefly yesterday because he's like, I'm a separatist, like that's me, and the line from the Green Party was like, and you know what, we can't whip votes, it's fine. Now Elizabeth May is saying no, Pierre Nantel is not a Quebec separatist. He believes in a Quebec within Canada. You're laughing, David, but is this, I think those are two big, the whole thing about abortion and this thing, I think those are two big missteps, to start off a campaign for Elizabeth May. But,
I would add a third, New Brunswick. Let's not forget. I mean, this is,
that's right.
New Brunswick. Remember when she came out proudly and said, I've got 14 former NDPers, and in truth, it was barely 7. And just coming out of the gate, first impressions are really important. And this is the first campaign where the Greens are taken seriously. They're scrutinized, they're being looked at, and this is like they keep fumbling the ball. And Pierre Nantel, wanted to be a Bloc candidate, ultimately went to the NDP. Remember, back in 2015, Tom Mulcair and made sure that all these former separatists came out and said, you know what, we're putting this on the back burner and this is not an issue for us. And now Nantel comes out and says, oh yeah, I'm totally a separatist. He has to, because in Longueuil, he has a real threat now against the Bloc with the resurgence of the Bloc. So he's trying to save his seat. But the thing is that Elizabeth May keeps saying, "Oh, no problem. Your position on abortion, I don't care. Your position on federalism, I don't care. As long as you're green." Well, the thing is that that's not how our party works. I can understand maybe you don't want to force to toe party lines, that you want to be a big tent. But the thing is that, especially in Quebec, voters care about your position on federalism and separatism. They do. And outside Canada, to kick off the campaign, everybody's been attacking Elizabeth May on this since yesterday. So a really bad start. And that means, again, this could help the Liberals, because the Liberals were bleeding support towards the Green on the climate issue. Mm-hmm. And so if people start seeing Elizabeth May as not being a serious, credible alternative, this could save the NDP, one, and two, help the Liberals save enough votes in really tight races.
Well, I think that she said that she's going to have a little chat with Nantel, little chat, because and she came right out and said it, and I have to applaud her for doing that, because I think maybe if some of the other leaders wouldn't have been as direct as she was, she said, we cannot have someone working against Canada in our country.
That's not what she said at first.
In our party.
That wasn't her first tune, though. That's the thing.
No,
it wasn't.
But because I think they had a discussion about Bill 21, and I think that she did not delve too deeply, or the party didn't, into his actual underpinning sovereignist views. And this blew up. This was a landmine that blew up under their feet as a result. But at least she came right out and said, we cannot have someone in our party who's working against Canada. Well, good. So put that to him and let him make the decision about whether he wants to continue as a Green candidate.
She desperately needs a campaign song.
But that should have been vetted before. That's the thing. Now it's becoming a 2-3 day story. Yeah. Now nobody's talking about this. See this, climate change. Everybody's saying, oh, climate change is going to be the ballot question. Liberals aren't talking about it anymore. Justin Trudeau didn't mention it really yesterday. And now the Green Party is stuck talking about Quebec separatism. Think about that.
Let's talk a little bit about climate change and take it away from politics. Hundreds of Amazon employees are planning a walkout in protest of Amazon's environmental policies. But my question to you is, if you work for Amazon, you're working for a company, and their whole mantra is get people to buy more crap as much as possible and deliver it to them with 1 day delivery, or in some markets, less than 1 day delivery, which is the least environmental way of doing it. Are you trying to have it both ways here? You're working for Amazon, which is a company devoted to something that, again, I don't think you can say, oh, you're in favor of green initiatives, green policies, and by the way, we should move to an Amazon system where we order each individual box of Kleenex as a separate package in the mail. I don't see how that works. So your thoughts on what I would call a little bit of a hypocritical play there?
Yeah, I think it's tough. It's like people who work for tobacco companies raising money for cancer research. I'm sure that there are many Amazon employees who just appreciate a paycheck, and in their personal lives are very green and try to embrace green initiatives, but to imply that the company, their employer should be doing more while at the same time continuing to sign their paychecks. I think that's, in a lot of places, that's a firing offense. To imply that your employer is not being a good corporate citizen and is destroying the planet, when its very premise, as you say, Elias, to order all kinds of frivolous junk delivered directly to your door, item by item. That's what gets me.
In a large box with, plastic peanuts or any, like it's incredible when you order something from Amazon and the boxes they send it out in for a little tiny item. Like the whole premise, it doesn't seem to be climate friendly.
Yeah, but we've voted on that. The people actually buy it. I mean, I mean, the thing is that, again, we're talking about this. There's principle and there's real life, and real life is not black and white. I mean, sometimes, we have created, consumers have created Amazon. The giant that it is today. It employs 650,000 people worldwide. That's bigger than all of Quebec City.
So no matter what, you're going to end up with employees who are going to fall in that.
First of all, the article says that like there's less than 1,000 employees that have signed up for this. So I'm just putting it in context. But the other piece is that why not? What's wrong with trying to make your company better?
Well,
I mean, we have to make
internally.
efforts.
You don't strike against your company.
Well,
which is
I'm not
what
talking
they're
about
planning
striking,
to do.
but
well,
again,
they are. That's what they're doing.
Well, if they are, they can do it. They can do it, whatever, and there'll be consequences. So the thing is that if they're taking a principle and they're trying to change their company, and that's the way they decide, if there are consequences after, they're going to have to live with them. But the thing is that people, within a company, and that's important, all in our personal lives and within the companies we want to work with, we choose to take stands on certain things and try to make the company better. And if this is the way they chose, and that leads to ultimately the company terminating them, well, then that's the consequence. But the thing is that we have to work and we need a job. And yes, Amazon is the way it is because we collectively made Amazon the way it is. We have chosen to buy stuff from these companies.
How many times do you go to the post office now and you feel like, it's just it's an outpost for Amazon? When you're in line and you see it's a stream of people picking up their Amazon packages, and you look behind the counter and it's boxes piled up all from it. You're like, man, this is an Amazon location now. It's not a post office. It's an Amazon location.
Everybody says we're concerned about climate change, but we keep buying SUVs in record numbers.
David Heurtel, Trudie Mason, always wonderful, musically inclined, a musically fantastic panel as well. Thanks for joining me. There you go. There's the song.